Hi, my name is Aloho, and I'm a graduate of MIT. This video is on chemical bonding, part 1. Atoms with incomplete valence shells can interact with certain other atoms so that each completes its valence shell. They can either share valence electrons, or they can transfer valence electrons. These interactions usually result in atoms staying close together, held by attractions called chemical bonds. The strongest kinds of chemical bonds are called covalent bonds and ionic bonds. A covalent bond is a sharing of a pair of valence electrons by two atoms. Let's consider what happens when two hydrogen atoms approach each other. Recall that hydrogen has one valence electron in the first shell, but the shell's capacity is 2 electrons. So when the two hydrogen atoms come close enough for their 1s orbitals to overlap, they can share their electrons. Each hydrogen atom is now associated with 2 electrons, in which amounts to a completed valence shell. 2 or more atoms held together by covalent bonds constitute a molecule, in this case, a hydrogen molecule. When atoms share one pair of valence electron, as a hydrogen molecule does, they're joined together by a single bond. When they share 2 pairs of valence electrons, however, they're joined together by what is known as a double bond. 3 pairs would make it a triple bond. Covalent bonds come in 2 varieties based on how strongly each atom is able to pull on the shared electrons. Atoms in a molecule attract shared bonding electrons to varying degrees depending on the element. The attraction of a particular atom for the electrons by a covalent bond is called its electronegativity. The more electronegative an atom is, the more strongly it pulls shared electrons towards itself. In a covalent bond between 2 atoms of the same element, the electrons are shared equally between the 2 atoms because they have the same electronegativity, such as in the hydrogen molecule. And thus, there's a sort of tug of war, standoff between these two atoms with the same electronegativity. Such a bond is called a nonpolar covalent bond. When an atom is bound to a more electronegative atom, the electrons of the bond are not shared equally. This type of bond is called a polar covalent bond. Such bonds vary in their polarity depending on the relative electronegativity of the 2 atoms. For example, the bonds between oxygen and hydrogen atoms of a water molecule are quite polar because oxygen has a significantly higher electronegativity than hydrogen, so it pulls on electrons closer to itself, making it partially or more negative, or delta minus, and making both hydrogens partially positive, or delta plus.